What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 21 of the Frontline Film Podcast. And before we get started today, we do have a gigantic episode today. But before we get started, you're probably wondering, why am I doing the intro? It's because Cole actually has some news for us. You can tell he has a different background. And this is going to be a permanent background for, the next 3 or 4 months. And Cole, do you want to tell him why?
Hi everyone, Cole here. So I've been talking about it in the last couple episodes. I just had a big move. I moved to the Big Apple, to New York City. I got a really cool job up here with Barstool Sports, which is sick. Maybe one day they'll buy this podcast from us, we can be rich. Anyways, yeah, so I just moved up to New York. It's been a crazy couple weeks, but I got a really nice place. I'm on the 15th floor up here. I'm about like 15 minutes from downtown, like by MSG and Times Square and all that stuff. So, very, very excited. Got a really, really good view outside my window of the city. Glad to be here. But um, something to go along with that is I got to see the new Mission Impossible on the biggest screen in the entire country at the AMC Lincoln Square IMAX. Um, I can't even begin to describe to you or any of you how freaking big the screen was. I was overwhelmed. I almost threw up. It was just so big.
I believe it.
I didn't know how to react. If you ever come up and visit, we're gonna go check out a movie there.
For sure.
It's just unreal. Everyone there was like diehard fans. There was people passing out like Mission Impossible little flyers and giving out candy and just all kinds of stuff. Vibes were immaculate. Everybody was cheering and stuff. So great experience. I think New York's a big movie city, so
Yeah.
yeah, happy to be here. And we're gonna have to adjust our recording schedule since
Yeah,
I'm
we
an
are. Yeah,
hour
for sure.
ahead.
For
Trying to
sure.
figure that out, but yeah, so that's the big news I wanted to share. But we're still gonna be cranking these out every week, hopefully.
Yep.
So, yeah, without further ado, we can just kind of jump right into it. Mission Stitch is officially a go.
Hmm.
We'll get to those reviews in a little bit, but of course, we got some trailers and some news we wanted to talk about as well. The first big piece of news being that Avengers Doomsday has been delayed about 7 months to December 18th, 2026. Um, mixed emotions here. Obviously, kind of sad because I was getting really excited, especially after Thunderbolts and with Fantastic Four coming out. But also, I am kind of glad because that gives the VFX artists more time to make it look really good.
Hmm.
So, mixed feeling, kind of sad, but honestly, it's probably for the better. And another thing linked with this is it's currently slated to release on the same day as Dune Messiah. So, um, one of these is going to have to move. And I think it's probably going to be Dune. I think Marvel and like Disney, they're just they're too big to have to worry about moving their dates. They're going to make someone else do it. So we'll just have to see. But yeah, I mean, I know you said it's probably for a good thing as well.
Yeah, I said it was a good thing because, I just feel like the whole multiverse, we've not gotten a cohesive story. And in the last two movies, we've kind of started coming together, like to say, okay, this is what's going to be the deal. This is what's going to happen. And I'm sorry, but Infinity War and Endgame were so good because we had a gigantic multi-year, multi-movie setup. And I think it was making me nervous of how it was going to all fit together. And I wouldn't be surprised if they move maybe a movie somewhere, another show somewhere before him, because if that's the case, we're not getting a Marvel movie until I don't know when.
Spider-Man,
Yeah, so that's in June
June or
of
July, yeah,
of
I think.
26, so we'd have to go a whole year, which we've done before. But we don't want that, obviously. We want our Marvel itch to be scratched. But I think for the story and like you said for the VFX, this is a good thing, and we'll just have to be patient and hopefully we get a better product than we would have gotten if we got it in May. I just personally think that's a good thing, and other people are going to be mad it's moved, but you got to look at the whole picture here, and I think for the whole picture, it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And then with that, obviously, Secret Wars was delayed as well, so it'll be coming out in December of 27. I'm wondering if like Spider-Man and some of the others that were supposed to come out like in between those are going to get delayed,
Yeah.
or Spider-Man's going to stick to its like next summer release date. We'll just have to kind of see. But yeah, so I mean, that was a pretty big piece of news we wanted to cover. But ultimately, I think it'll be for the best. And I guess we'll just have to see what movie moves. I feel like it'll probably be Dune, and we'll just have to see if it moves up like a couple weeks or if they delay it until the following year. So I
Yeah.
hope that's not the case, but we'll just have to see. So that was our big piece of movie
Hey,
news. We got a what?
if Dune moves up a week, it comes out on your birthday. That'd be cool.
Indeed,
That would be
indeed
cool.
it does. But so yeah, so that's the news. We got a bunch of good trailers this week too for a bunch of different things. We got the second trailer for Jurassic World Rebirth coming out. What's it like first week of July,
Yep.
July 2nd
July
or
2nd. Yep.
okay. Um, yeah, so the first trailer was really good. That came out a couple months ago, and then we get this one. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit out on this movie.
Oh.
And the reason being is because the dinosaurs are not real dinosaurs. Like they
Mm.
are weird genetic mutations and experiments, and none of them are like real. Like I want T-Rex, Raptor, uh, Bronchiosaurus. Like I want the real Triceratops. And these are all like mutated. The director said that like the main bad one was like inspired by a Star Wars character. Which is cool. I mean, it's still going to be a good fun time with the movies, but I just don't necessarily agree with the whole mutation route that they're going. Like the dinosaurs don't even look like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
A lot of them like literally just look like aliens. It's just
Right. Right.
um but I mean I think it's still going to be a fun time. Scarlett Johansson looks like she's going to be really good in it. Um Mahershala Ali is obviously a great actor as well, so we'll just have to see, but I'm not gonna lie, my expectations for this are kind of low. Probably the lowest for all of the big blockbusters coming out this summer.
Yeah, yeah, I mean that's a good point. I do agree that a couple of them that we've seen in the trailer kind of look, not like a dinosaur. They definitely look like even like a xenomorph that you see in Alien. Um, I will say that if they kind of go the more horror route that they're kind of portraying, I think we can get away with it if you don't showcase, because we've seen like the Bronchiosaurus in the trailer, we've seen a T-Rex in the trailer, we've seen the pterodactyls in the trailer, but like how obviously the main big one, like you said, the director has already said has been inspired by different stuff, and if they go the horror route and don't show it as much until like the very end and everything, I think it'll be fine. I'm still like, if there's dinosaurs in the movie, I'm all full in. I'll be there. And I think the cast looks really good. And again, like the horror element is something that we don't, especially in the last three, we do not get a horror element at all. It's more lighthearted. And I
I
think
think Fallen Kingdom has a couple scary moments,
I
honestly.
just think that like if you're in a on a island with dinosaurs, you should like explore the horror element for sure. Like
Yeah,
I think that should be a thing. And I think they're definitely doing that, which is fine. I think that dinosaurs and horror can easily go hand in hand. So I'm all in on it. Still, I definitely agree with your concerns a little bit to where if we're not doing real dinosaurs, like what's the point? But hopefully there's a reason that we find out, in the movie that's like why it's like this. Like these are the biggest, baddest, worst dinosaurs on an island together. So
yeah. I will say visually it looks great.
yeah.
Looks like they're actually doing a lot of this stuff like on location. The nature and everything looks very pretty. And yeah, I recognize as well. It does look like they are leaning into the horror elements a little bit more than the past ones did.
Yeah,
Uh,
like this trailer kind of at the very beginning, like the dude begging for his life, like that. That's
Yeah,
what we need in movies like this, especially when you're, they're going against dinosaurs. Like, what do you do? You know?
yeah. But I mean, I'll obviously still be going to check that out. Jump starts our just slam packed
Yeah.
July that we're going to be getting. We get that, and then Superman, and then Fantastic Four, and I think some other stuff around there. But yeah, so that's Jurassic World Rebirth. Coming soon, not too far away, about a month because it's
Yep.
almost June.
Yep.
Um, Another trailer that we got our first teaser trailer for Zootopia 2. It wasn't really much of like a trailer about the story. It was just kind of like reintroducing you to all these characters and like showing a bunch of new ones. You get a glimpse of the villain, which looked like those little things from Star Wars. I forgot their
A
names.
Jawa.
A Jawa. It looked like a Jawa from Star Wars. But I mean, yeah, it wasn't really like much of a trailer to really get anything out of like the movie. But I know me and you both really liked the first one, and I think this one, could be very good as well. I think it comes out in November. So yeah, I mean, love a good Disney animated movie, and Zootopia was one that I really think is overlooked sometimes. I think it's really good, really funny, and the stuff with the sloth and everything. So
Yeah, no, we saw it. I'm sure you did too. We saw it before our Lilo and Stitch movie. We got the preview. And it looks like it still, will have the heart and everything from the first one. I thought the first one is one of the stronger like Disney movies, especially animated that's not Pixar. I think it's still like very strong. And dude, kids love it. Like they love the first one. I have people like my niece and nephew and little cousins that still love that movie. So I know they will be excited for the second one. I'm excited for the second one, seeing, um, all the characters kind of come back and kind of have the same ones in the as the original, but also throw in a few more that should be very interesting as well. The hooded figure is definitely interesting because that's definitely different than the first one. But I still remember the first one being like a who done it, like who's doing all this, and I thought it was very well done for a kids movie. Um, so I'm excited for this one, man. I really am.
yeah, no, looks like a good time. Um, I love it. I love just a good Disney animated movie from time to time. Not necessarily Pixar, but like something like this or Moana or Frozen or whatever. So,
Hmm.
um, will probably be very good. It's going to make a ton of money around Thanksgiving.
Yep.
So we will definitely be tuning in there. Love a good kids movie. Something that is not meant for kids. Our next trailer, we got the first trailer for It, Welcome to Derry. The new series is going to be on HBO. I can't exactly remember when it's coming out
I don't.
on HBO, but yeah, it's basically like I don't know if it's really an origin story for Pennywise or just an origin story for Derry, but it looks like stuff has already been happening.
Yeah.
So just a different a different year, different timeline than the movie.
Right.
We obviously absolutely love the first one. I think it is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Um, I just remember going to see that with like literally 10 people from our high school class, and we all loved it. Genuinely, like really scary. The second one was still pretty good, but I think you lose the magic and the fun that the kids brought since they were older. So something that was exciting to me about this trailer for the show is that it looks like it's centered around kids again,
Hmm.
which is very refreshing. It very much felt like the first one. Um, those kids were so funny, but then it almost like makes it scarier when
Yeah.
it's kids involved than the adults in the second one. So I think this looks great. I feel like it could be great. We got Bill Skarsgård returning as Pennywise, looking as menacing as ever.
Hmm.
So I'm curious to see like what exactly this story is going to be. If it's kind of an origin story or something. I thought that's how it was like being advertised before the trailer came out, but the trailer doesn't really look like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, but definitely will be tuning in. It looks like a really fun, scary show.
Yeah, you know how last one it kind of says like every 27 years or whatever. So this is probably 27 years before maybe the it of 2017 maybe. Dude, it is the first one that came out in 2017. or not the first one, but like the remake is like incredible. Like it really is. And when they announced that we were getting a show, I was pumped. Like I love the idea of just exploring a different group of people that are affected by Pennywise. And this one, again, man, the smiling, like cop, the smiling teacher, it looks like that. It's like so uneasy feeling, man. And nah, the kids, I imagine, are going to be good. They look good in the trailer. The performances that are given in 2017 kind of make it as good as it is. And I think we'll get the same kind of same thing here with the show. I like it being a show. I think this is like a great step because you can throw a lot more scary stuff in a show, man. Like you're not limited by 2 hours. You get like however many episodes, 6 to 8 usually. This one I'm so pumped for. I'm so pumped for a scary show. Like scary movies are like its own thing, but like a scary show where every week you'll be like, all right, well here's another hour of me just getting my freaking, I just, oh dude, I can't wait. I can't wait. Me taking my mom to go see it in 2017. My poor mom, man, did not deserve that. That was like torture for her. So, nah, I'm super excited. A scary show we don't get very often. So
Yeah,
when we can get one,
I was literally just about to say, I can't even really think of the last like scary show we got. I mean, Netflix has a couple like The Haunting on Hill House and some things like that, but for the most part, like we never get scary shows. And this looks like it's just as high as quality as the movies. So yeah, we're gonna get like 8 weeks in a row of just being scared for an hour a week. I can't wait. But very excited. I'm excited we get to spend more time with Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise because he is terrifying.
yep,
And he plays the role so well. So yeah, I think his show is going to be a lot of fun. Um, and then our last trailer we got for the week, we got the first trailer for Darren Aronofsky's Caught Stealing, new movie starring Austin Butler and Zoe Kravitz and Matt Smith and Vincent D'Onofrio and a couple others I can't think off the top of my head, but Liev Schreiber. Um, so Aronofsky has done a lot of weird movies like Requiem for a Dream, which is a very, very strange, like psychological movie. Black Swan. He did The Whale. Um, couple others like just odd movies. So this definitely looks like a little bit out of the norm for him. This looks kind of like a almost like an action crime movie. Looks like it'll be pretty funny as well, though. Austin Butler's really funny in the trailer. Matt Smith is pretty funny as well. Yeah, it looks like it said he was an ex-baseball player and he basically gets caught up in like a world of crime. He looks pretty self-explanatory. Um, we'll talk about Zoe Kravitz a little bit later, but she looks good in this as well. Looks like it'll be, a good time, a lot of fun, something kind of different. And Austin Butler, like, ever since, I mean, obviously Elvis, but ever since Dune Part 2, really, I've been kind of itching to see him in some more stuff because of how awesome he was as Fade So,
yeah. Yeah, no, this I just watched this trailer before we started. No, dude, it looks like a lot of fun, honestly. I think Austin Butler and Zoe Kravitz seem to be like with good chemistry in this trailer. Obviously, we have to see the whole movie. Matt Smith, it seems like always he has just wild hairstyles, so he has another one in this one. And the whole like ex-baseball player, like most of these crime thrillers or dramas or whatever, like usually the person knows how to fight, but it was cool to see like he's just like getting his ass kicked for half the trailer, but then he like, he has the one scene where he punches a dude and knocks him out. Maybe he figures it out, but I think it's very interesting. I think it's very interesting to have somebody normal who is like friends with somebody, who's in you don't know their life and he gets plunged into a world of like okay, this is serious stuff. And, him being in the middle of it, but he likes that adrenaline, right? Like he likes something different because especially like a baseball star who has adrenaline like every day in the sports world, but now he's like, okay, how do I find myself like back into it? Oh, it's through, of course, being a criminal. And no, I just like that. I think this one's gonna maybe be like a sleeper, like really, really good movie of the year, kind of something where like everybody talks about Sinners and Warfare and other ones that we get throughout the year, and then we look at the end of the year and caught ceilings in our top five. So I think it could just be something like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Looks like a lot of fun. Looks like he gets caught up in it by just watching his friend's cat.
Yep.
So, um, I think it'll be a good time. It's a much different direction for Darren Aronofsky compared to stuff he's done in the past. Almost everything else is like super psychological that he's done. But looks like a lot of fun. Something a little different. So, and Austin Butler looks great in the role. I could definitely like see him as a washed up baseball player,
Hmm.
and Zoe Kravitz looks good. D'Onofrio and Leif Schreiber, they looked really funny in
Yeah.
their outfits. Um, so yeah, looks like it could be a good time, and I agree with what you said. That could be one like at the end of the year. We're like, damn, that's one of the best movies of the year. So
Hmm.
yeah, we'll just gonna have to see. So yeah, that is all of the trailers we got. All the ones we wanted to talk about. And so now we can jump into what we have been watching. Um, as we've been talking about every week for the last like 8 or 9 weeks, we are going to be talking about the studio. And sad thing is, this is the finale of the studio. So this is the last time we'll be talking about it, at least until next year, because the show did get renewed. And this episode just picks right back off where last week's ended. So last week's was CinemaCon, and then they were just panicking to get their presentation in order. Bryan Cranston goes missing, and everyone's all drugged up and on shrooms and all this crazy stuff. Um, and they're trying to make sure that the presentation goes well, so that way they don't get bought out by Amazon. And then this one picks up exactly where that one left off. I thought it was a great, great finale. It's definitely like a lot of the rest of the show, very stressful, kind of until like the presentation started. Um, but so so funny. I'm glad that we got another episode with a lot of Dave Franco in it. I think he's probably been my favorite cameo of the whole show.
Yeah.
Every time he's on screen, like I'm just dying laughing. Zoe Kravitz was really funny in this again. Bryan Cranston has been good every week. Um, yeah, dude, I think they nailed this finale. I think it was a lot of fun, and it still um, kind of leaves the door open for where they go next year. So,
Mhm.
next year I could see it being like, flash forward a year, they're getting ready to release the Kool-Aid movie and all these other things that they've been
Yeah.
talking about. Um, so yeah, dude, talk about the finale and then like overall, the show as well. What you thought?
Yeah, no, the finale I thought being like the two-parter was outstanding. This one is just like, okay, how do they put on a good presentation at CinemaCon? Like that is like you're thinking about that really the whole week because you're like, dude, everything is going to hell. And the good thing is like you find out that Patty Lee just wants revenge on Bryan Cranston's character, not the whole studio, which is nice because we were like, oh crap, is she like trying to, is she like
Sabotage.
know about this? But she obviously did not know about the Amazon move, so she's like apologizing to Matt and everything. And I think everyone in this finale was like great. You got Dave Franco coming out like after getting his ass kicked. He's got blood all over his shirt and everything. And he's like, "No, I got this. I got this." Walks out, looks like hell, and kind of plays his character a little bit. Zoe Kravitz is the same thing. You're like, "Oh my God, Zoe Kravitz is still high. How is she gonna go out there and give a really good like presentation?" She does a good job. Patty Lee stalls, and then you get um, Matt's little presentation where he is being genuine. I think he's trying to stall, but at the same time, he really is like up there, and he's like, no, like this is a time to recognize like the people that we've been with the whole season, and is like, I love these people. I couldn't do it without them. And I think that was a really cool moment. Because he's like getting to kind of, put his heart out there a little bit. And of course, like, yes, Seth Rogen's character is kind of out there sometimes and he does some stupid things, but at the end of the day, he loves movies. He loves the studio that he works for and he just wants to be like a good studio head. And I think we both really enjoyed that about Matt at the end of the day. Like he really does care. And I think that he's given like a really good like little moment to thank people and like how much he loves movies, and I think that was really cool. And then of course the end you have Bryan Cranston's character who is still way out of it, and they bring him down from the rafters, and they have him front and center, and he just keeps saying movies. And Matt kind of saves it to where he's chanting movies, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Maybe at the beginning of next season we'll see like reviews of that and how they had a good year or whatever. But no, I think it was great. The show overall, man, I really, really enjoyed. This was a chaotic, comedic, like just representation of like what movie studios kind of go through, and they really hit like a lot of points like that you see in movies right now on the head, from AI to casting the right characters, with race being involved in everything. I thought that was really funny. They did it in like a lighthearted way. And anywhere from they tackled the oneer. They talked about our movie's important. The list goes on and on and on. And I think that that's like such a good way to do a show because they do what's relevant in a lighthearted way. And you can be like, oh, okay, like, you know, yes, this is a pressing issue like the AI issue, or is our movies really that important, or the streaming issue like Netflix or whatever. And I think it's done perfectly. Seth Rogen is great as Matt Remick. You have standouts from Ike Barinholtz, and I thought Catherine O'Hara was great. Um, I mean, I couldn't. I really did not have high expectations for this show. I thought it was going like the reviews were great, yeah, obviously. But I think as a whole, you were like, okay, how good could this show actually be? Is it just gonna be funny? Is it gonna be full of substance? Like, what is it gonna be? And I think it hits like every nail on the head. I think it's like really, really good. It's one of the best like original like comedy shows that I think like in a minute. Like some of them are just not funny. Like some of them that kind of get, you know, some of them just don't tackle real issues and are funny at the same time. And this one does that. And every character is likable. Like you feel for Matt, you feel for Sal, you feel for Patty Lee, you feel for, and like the amount of cameos that you get are like awesome. We saw so many people in this show in one season. Dude, the door is wide open for who we could see next season. Like we might see Timothy Chalamet, we might see like Zac Efron again, we might see Zoe Kravitz again, but you might also get like uh directors from like the Russo brothers, Robert Downey Jr., Cillian Murphy. Like the door is so open for everybody that you could get in the show. It's so funny. It's so real. It's chaotic, which I love. Me and you love The Bear, and we think like this show being chaotic back and forth. The camera work, top tier. And it's probably, I think I had it as my third favorite season of television this year. And I think that's like out of 11. So I think it's like right up there with Severance season two and Andor season two. So I enjoyed it that much.
Yeah, dude. Great, great show all the way around. I was very amped for this when it got announced, but I think it exceeded my expectations. Like you said, super cool and meta, like how it tackled a bunch of real world like concerns and stuff in the film industry, like, racial stuff, AI, um, uh, like is are movies important? Like are the arts as important as like medicine and things like that? Um, Very cool, tackles some big stuff, but like you said, it does so in such a lighthearted, fun way, and it's Seth Rogen at the helm and just making it all make it all enjoyable. And yeah, in this finale, like I'm pretty sure almost like the whole presentation, like them going back and forth between the stage and backstage. I think that was like all almost one take.
Yeah.
I don't really remember seeing any cuts. If so, they were very minimal. They did some very, very long takes. They did that the whole show.
Yeah.
They would have really long takes. But I think that just goes to show the skill of the actors, the skill of
Yep.
Seth Rogen. He helped also direct every episode and wrote every episode. Like Seth Rogen's a beast, dude. I
Yeah.
mean, he's not just the funny fat guy anymore. He's still funny, but he's really showcased like what he can do as a creator and a writer and a director. And then he's still the fun-loving Seth Rogen that we love. And then like you said, so many good side performances. Ike Barinholtz is Sal. Catherine Hahn is so funny.
Yeah.
Um, um, the girl that plays Quinn,
Yeah.
Chase Dewey Wonders, she's very, very good. Bryan Cranston, and then all the cameos, like all the cameos felt like earned and needed, and it wasn't just like thrown in there. like I felt each one was valuable to the story, and almost all of them like had a big part to play
Yeah.
in the story. So, dude, such a good show. I
Yeah.
absolutely cannot wait for season two. This is right up my alley. This honestly might be my second. I might have this above Severance on the year for me because I don't think there was one bad episode this whole show.
Yeah.
It was like one or two in Severance. I was like, okay, this is specifically like the Harmony Cobell episode, and then maybe one of the others.
Yeah.
It's just weird kind of filler episodes, but I literally think all 10 episodes of the studio were phenomenal. So I'll probably put that as my number two show of the year, but
Yeah.
um absolutely loved it. Shout out Apple TV. Literally two of our top three shows of the year are Apple TV, and then Stick might be up
Yes,
there as
Stick
well,
is
which
right here.
comes out next week. So
Yeah.
um yeah, so that's the studio. We've really been enjoying talking about that. I'm not entirely sure what shows are coming out like ASAP. I know Stick comes out like first or second week of June, so we'll
Yeah, then we
definitely
have
talk about that.
Ironheart and the Bear.
Ironheart and the Bear are both at the end of June, so um, yeah, we'll just kind of see. I think me and Landon are both kind of out on Last of Us. Maybe we'll
We're
get
gonna
to it.
finish it.
Like,
We're gonna finish it.
we'll finish it, but yeah. But yeah, so that's the studio. And now we can jump into our movie reviews.
Mission Stitch.
All right. For the moment we've all been waiting for, it's finally time to talk Mission Stitch. Um, Probably the biggest weekend at the box office since Barbenheimer back in 2023. Um, I think I've seen stuff saying this is going to be like a record-shattering Memorial Day weekend. Um, because you got to think since everyone's off work and school on Monday, that's just another extra day for both of these movies to make a ton of money. So
Mhm.
we've been very excited for both of these movies, both for different reasons. I love the Mission Impossible franchise, but and Wilt just got on it recently, but we also love like the original Lilo and Stitch. We love Disney movies, and so we were very excited for both of these, and I'm so glad that we finally get to talk about both of them. Two very different movies, but two movies that we definitely enjoyed for different reasons. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. So we're going to start off with Lilo and Stitch, the live action remake from Disney. And I mean, everyone knows what Lilo and Stitch is about. It's just a remake of the classic that came out in what was it like 2001 or 2002, something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that.
A movie that we both grew up on. Stitch is iconic. And then they also like after the movie they had like that show on Disney Channel. I remember growing up watching that. This is a Disney movie, the original one that I feel like gets slept on a lot. It gets all the princess movies and like Lion King and some Pixar movies like Toy Story and stuff I feel like overshadow it. But I always like loved Lilo and Stitch. So I know me and you were both very, very excited when we heard this was coming out. We saw the trailer, like Stitch CGI looked great. Lilo was just absolutely adorable. And I think we both knew that this was just going to be a super good, like feel good, heartwarming movie. Um, and yeah, I mean, Disney's definitely been hit or miss with some of the live actions. I would say probably our personal favorite is what, like Aladdin. Little Mermaid was really good last year or 2 years ago, whenever that came out. Um, but then you got some misses. Like I thought the first Lion King was kind of a miss. And yeah, a couple of their others have just been a little iffy.
Snow
Dumbo.
White's bombed.
Snow White
So
bombed, Dumbo. So you're not always guaranteed a good movie with these remakes, but I will say off the top, um, I definitely had a good fun time with this. It was very nostalgic. A lot of scenes were like shot for shot, line for line, um, from the original, and it is a super, super sweet movie, heartfelt. And Stitch is absolutely adorable, and so is Lilo. So, um, yeah, I mean, overall, I think it is a good, fun time at the movie. And we're gonna jump into it, but they definitely took some different directions. They went some different routes than the original that I think me and you don't really like as much. Not necessarily saying it was bad, but they really some of the decisions they made were just a little odd. It was almost the third act was like almost a completely different movie
yeah.
than the original. So we can jump into that, but overall, what did you think?
Yeah, no, I wanted to go in this movie and I wanted like from the from the advertisement we got, Stitch looked really good. So I was hoping that Stitch looked really good in live action, and I thought they did a great job with Stitch. I thought he looked and sounded awesome. Now I know it's the same person that's voiced Stitch, which awesome, great choice. Stitch was hilarious. I laughed out loud 3 or 4 times from Stitch alone. I thought he was hilarious. Lilo, the girl that plays Lilo, I know her last name's Kealoha. I forget her first name.
Maya.
Yeah. She was awesome as Lilo. She was lovable. She was adorable. She was great. And Nani as well. I thought that their chemistry as sisters, I thought was there. I thought that this movie, that sometimes the live actions don't get. I thought this movie was still full of heart. I thought there was, emotion there. Lion King, like you said, we did not get that. Dumbo was not there. And we still get it like Aladdin was there. It was full of character and emotion. I still really enjoyed the live action Beauty and the Beast. I think that one still has a lot of character as well. This one did have heart, did have character from even David and Billy Magnuson as Pleakley. We'll get into Jumba in a minute. But overall, though, I thought that there was a lot of heart in this movie, and I wanted that from a live action because sometimes you can't translate that into the live action. But I thought this one had it. Like I said, Stitch was great. He was hilarious. And Lilo was great. Them together, just really adorable. I really did enjoy it. Um, to the bad, and I know you agree with me on one thing, is that Jumba being the villain instead of Gantu, or if you don't know his name, kind of the shark-looking bad guy, almost looks like an orca. Him not being in this movie and having Jumba be the villain in this movie, not a good change in my opinion. Jumba is supposed to be a redeemable character, going from he only cares about capturing Stitch to realizing that Stitch is more than just a science experiment, and him being like, oh, this is a creature that has a heart, that has a brain. Yes, he's very smart and can be destructive, but he really does like love Lilo and Nani and being a part of a family. And Jumba be having that in like the original kind of makes him redeemable. And this one, he's the villain. And it's kind of odd in this movie because he's trying to capture him, and of course, like Pleakley is like watching over him, and now you kind of just take away that Jumba and Pleakley don't have a friendship, and again, that's from the first movie, and they're all one big Ohana, and we don't get that in this movie. Jumba is not redeemable at all. He is kind of portrayed as just like a scientist, a mad scientist that doesn't really care about his creature at all. He just wants to make Stitch a heartless 627, for lack of a better word. I don't like that as a creative choice. I don't really understand why they did that. I know you kind of agree with me on that. The other thing that I had an issue with was Jumba in the original. I think what makes him a good character, and not makes him a good character, but I kind of he's actually in the movie, him and Pleakley, but in this one, um, we see them a lot as Billy Magnuson and Zach Galifianakis, which I kind of odd. I know they do have the disguises in the first one, so like I'm not, I know that there needs to be a disguise or aliens, but we don't get them as a duo, and I don't know if Zach Galifianakis as being like Jumba. I have a very vivid image of like what he looks like because of his accent and his thick accent, but he doesn't have it in this movie. It's just Zach Galifianakis, and he just sounds odd to me. It sounds off. Now, whether that's good or bad for some people, that's like your own opinion. I just remember Jumba sounding, how he sounded in the original with a little bit of an accent. And him being Zach Galifianakis in this movie kind of threw me off, and it kind of took me out of Jumba's character, kind of for the whole part of the movie. Again, that might be a little nitpick, but it's something I noticed and something that I didn't enjoy as much. And Jumba as a character in this movie just sucks compared to the original. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, I mean, even like the sequel movies, and the Disney TV show, like they're in it, and Jimbo's like, you know, friends with them and everything. So yeah, having that just completely changed. I agree. I don't think Galifianakis was just necessarily the pick for this. I don't think he gave a bad performance. Like you said, he just didn't have that voice. All I could hear was just Zach Galifianakis. I thought Billy Magnuson as Pleakley was great though. He was very,
Yes,
very funny.
yes,
Um, but the CG for both of them, like when they were actually their alien selves, I thought looked great. Um, but yeah, no, I agree. Not having Captain Gantu as the main villain and just making it Jumba, I don't really know why they did that. I don't like that either because, like you said, like you kind of get like a bromance, friendship kind of vibe from the original with Pleakley and Jumba, and that's just like taken away here. Um, so when actually last night before I went to bed, I rewatched the original because I hadn't seen it
nice.
in so long. Um, and I mean, really everything up until like the last 20 minutes is almost exactly the same, but then that last like 20, 25 minutes was very, very different because you don't have any Gantu. Jumba's going crazy and kidnapped him and all this stuff. But yeah, I don't quite understand that choice. I understand you want to make it your own thing, make it a little different than the original, but I just
Yeah,
don't think that was the best decision here, especially, for people that grew up on it like us.
right.
For new kids and stuff, they don't care. They're gonna love it.
Yeah.
But like that being one of my favorite Disney movies growing up, yeah, I didn't absolutely love that choice. But um, besides like the last like 20 minutes, um, almost everything else in this movie was a ton of fun, very enjoyable, very cute. Really, really like good CGI with the space stuff and with Stitch. Um, and yeah, dude, I felt like I was in Hawaii, like it was just a good, immersive experience. The whole scene of them surfing was just as adorable,
Yeah.
sweet as in the first one. Um, yeah, and then I see a lot of people on Twitter have been hating on the fact that Nani went to college. That was a different route that they went with this one compared to the original. Obviously, the original they're still like dealing with social services and trying to like prove that she's a good fit to take care of her, to take care of Lilo. And ends up like everything being okay in the first one, and they were still dealing with that in the new one. But then at the same time, Nani's trying to decide if she wants to go to college or not. And I saw so many people on Twitter just dissing the fact that Nani went to college. I don't think that was necessarily a bad choice. It's different, yeah, but like it still ends very happily. I wasn't like upset. They were still FaceTiming, and then she's got the portal gun, and she was literally able to go visit her like whenever she wants. Um, I didn't really have an issue with it. Did you?
It was like such a at the end, it was such a small part, I think, of the movie that it kind of just can get overshadowed. So it wasn't one that until you just brought it up that I didn't even think about. So that kind of shows you like they got their happy ending, and I thought they used to have like, okay, she has a portal gun that she can literally use to just be there whenever she wants, which she does. So I thought that was, okay. If you hate on that, personally, it didn't bother me at all because
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. So,
Yeah, I just seen a lot of people on Twitter like really hated that decision, but um obviously you got the introduction of the new character like the old woman that was their neighbor. I think
mhm.
she was related to David. That was name.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah,
hear those sirens?
no,
Dude, there's so many sirens outside right now. But yeah, no, that woman, I don't know if she was like David's grandma or something, but she's
yeah,
not in the original. So that was a new character. But I mean, everything ended up ending happily. Really, my biggest con with this movie is the Jumba stuff, the villain stuff. I would have much rather seen Captain Gantu. Even if you do him like you do Galifianakis and Magnuson, like you have like him, transform into a human or whatever. Like I think you could still make it work. But making Jumbo the villain was just, yeah, I
yeah,
did not love that choice, and it kind of took away from it a little bit for me. But other than that one choice, I think it was a lot of fun. It was absolutely adorable. It's what, it's just what Disney does great. They just d deliver these incredibly heartfelt, sweet stories. Um, and it was very nostalgic. Like I said, like it made me want to go home and watch the original last night. So yeah, I mean we can kind of jump into our ratings now. ultimately, this is a kids movie. It's a kids movie we grew up on, but I mean, it is a new version of that movie. So obviously, I don't think either of us are going to say that it's better than the original because it is not. I would say the original is like a 4.5 or 5 star movie.
Yeah.
Um, Absolutely love it. A little bit lower on this one, not because of uh, any of the performances or the CGI or anything. It's really just because of the whole villain decision. So I settled at 3.5 stars on Letterboxd, and I gave this movie a 7.4,
Okay.
just right off the rip. I gave Minecraft a 7.3. So I had more fun in this than Minecraft. I think it was just Minecraft was just like stupid funny.
Yeah.
This one was funny, but also like super sweet and
Yeah.
like had emotion and stuff,
Yep.
which I, value in a kid's movie. Like if it's good and emotional and tugs at your heartstrings, that's a big plus, which it still did, despite the villain thing. So, yeah, number 14 on the year for me, or my bad, 13, sitting at a 7.4. What did you think?
Yeah, so I also think that if you let Jumba be the, redeemable character and you get Gantu as a villain, I think this is, right up there with the original just in live action. And it doesn't have to be scene for scene, man. We're not saying that. We just think that Jumba as a character is redeemable, and that's what makes it so good in the first one. And he gets part of the family, kind of, with Stitch and Nani and Lilo and all that. So that really does bug me because I was sitting there in the movie being like, why is he the bad guy? Like, why is this happening? Overall, though, I do think that there are some great moments from funny to heartfelt that you get, and I still personally enjoyed it. Like if you can still make me laugh, which I did multiple times, like I said, the original Stitch voice actor being Stitch again, and Stitch really is like one of my favorite characters in Disney because he's just an absolute, just like chaotic ball of energy. I love it. I love it. I still gave it 3.5 stars on Letterboxd. I'm a little bit lower on you though. I did not get to that 7 mark. I gave it a 6.7, which is not bad. 6.7 is still good. But again, like I think the third act or the final act and Jumba just really kind of threw me off in the moment. And being like, I didn't come home and be like, oh, wait, Jumba wasn't the villain. Like I remember being in the theater and being like, why is Jumba the bad guy? This makes zero sense to me. I have it at number 14 on my list, and I have mine above a Minecraft movie as well. So mine's kind of stitched between, no pun intended, Den of Thieves 2 and a Minecraft movie. So that's where kind of mine is. But again, 6.7, 3.5 stars. Still lovable, still full of heart, but just some creative choices that me and you disagree with. And, that's fine. That's okay. Kids who have not seen the original will probably still enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, and this movie is absolutely raking at the box office. I mean, I don't know if Minecraft's going to end up getting there, but this is definitely going to get there. I think it made like 55 million in its first day or
Oof.
something. Um, and like you said, or like I said earlier, like it's an extended weekend, so there's going to be a whole nother day.
My
Um,
uh my theater was packed, man. My
yeah,
theater was
mine was too. Mine was completely full. And for Mission as well, Mission Impossible as well. So. Yeah, no, I would say for the most part, we both still enjoyed it, had fun with it. Definitely go check it out if you're a fan of the original. Um, some, some interesting creative choices. But outside of that, like for the most part, I would say like still 75% of it is just, beat for beat from the first movie because I watched it last night. Like up until the villain stuff, like at the last 20, 25 minutes, it's like the same exact movie,
yeah.
same lines and music and everything. So, um, but yeah, so that is Lilo and Stitch. And now we can jump in to the big one. I've been waiting for ages for this, for well, not ages. I've been waiting for 2 years for this. Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. Not sure if it's the last one yet. It's kind of being like advertised as the last one. We don't really know, and we'll talk about the ending and see what we think. But um, obviously this is one of my favorite franchises, if not my favorite, like outside of Marvel. Um, and I know I just recently got you on the Mission Impossible train like a month or two ago. Um, I absolutely love these movies. I think Tom Cruise is the greatest movie star in the entire world, in the history of movie stars. No one has ever done it like him, and I just don't think anyone ever will do it like him. Maybe he's a little crazy in his personal life, but you cannot deny the fact that he loves movies more than anybody on this planet. He puts his life on the line for almost every movie he's in, especially in this one, which we'll get to. But that's just something that I value. And I think that's the reason I love this franchise so much is because you can feel that all the action is real. It is not fake. Um, like would just knowing that that's actually him like running down the Burj Khalifa or hanging off that plane in Rogue Nation or flying the helicopter in Fallout. Like it just makes it so much more fun and enjoyable as a moviegoer. So yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the year, this was my number one most anticipated on the year. So super glad we finally got to it. So yeah, we can just kind of jump into it. Right off the bat, I got to say this movie is just an absolute blast. It's right up there with the last couple years. Um, two of, I mean, two of the top probably like five most ridiculous stunts that he's done in this franchise are in this movie. The whole underwater sequence and then the plane sequence. Um, the underwater sequence is like almost like a horror movie. It's so tense. And then the whole plane sequence is just absolutely unbelievable. Like my jaw was just my mouth was open for like 45 minutes. I was like just I was sitting straight up in my seat. Um, yeah, so I mean, two of the coolest stunts. You got a great cast of characters. All you got the originals like Ving Rhames back as Luther. You got Simon Pegg as Benji, and then obviously Tom, and you get Haley Atwell returning from the last one, Palm Clementoff returning from the last one. But yeah, and you get a couple other smaller characters as well. Um, so yeah, dude, I absolutely had a ball with this one. Like I said, I saw this on the biggest screen in the entire country, and it was an unreal experience. At the front of the theater, like by the door, there was a dude that just printed all these out and was handing them to people. I want you to trust me one last time. So vibes were just through the roof. All my theater was clapping and cheering multiple times and laughing and yeah, dude, it was just a great time. And I definitely have some qualms with it, more specifically in the first act. But the second and third acts are as good of an action movie as you will ever see in your life. And I think you can probably agree with me there. But we'll talk about I definitely have some problems with this movie as well. I don't want to just glaze it. Uh, but I do want to glaze Tom Cruise because he's just the freaking man. And this was my most fun theater experience of the year by a long shot. Yeah. So what did you think? Was your theater packed? Was your theater into
Yeah,
it?
so I saw this on Thursday at like 3 o'clock. And now it was packed. However, I was probably the youngest person in there by probably 35 years. So, old people love Tom Cruise too, man. So can't argue with that. Nah, dude, my theater was packed. I was actually worried at first. I guess I was a little bit early, but by the time the movie actually started, I looked around and it was definitely packed. Dude, um, there are some sequences in this movie that I think are up there with the best of Mission Impossible. There is definitely a couple complaints that I have, but for the most part, this movie was, dude, outstanding. Really, I just you think they run out of ideas and then they just hit you with the most bizarre thing you've ever seen in your life. And Tom Cruise is a psychopath. The fact that he just keeps doing it is absurd. But nah, dude. Like you said, there's definitely a couple problems with this movie, and but I think the second and third act are near some of the best I've seen in a Mission Impossible movie. It just grips you and like it makes you just like what is gonna happen next. But yeah, no, dude. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will say that. But we can get into the nitty gritty of it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to jump off, like start off talking about the cons, and then we
Yeah.
can jump in all the good stuff because there's a whole lot more good stuff than bad stuff. Um, as most people have been saying on Twitter, and I definitely agree with it. The first act is just kind of a cluster.
Yep.
It is very all over the place. It's kind of weirdly edited, um, like a bit jarring, just going back and forth to different people having different conversations at the same time about the same thing. And I don't know. It wasn't rushed or anything. It was just, I
A
don't know.
lot.
It
It
was a
was a
lot. It
lot.
was very convoluted, and they had a couple tie-ins to the originals that I don't really feel like they dove deep enough into, like the whole stuff with the rabbit's foot from the third one, like being a big piece. I think that could have been like expounded upon a little more. And the whole thing with that cop, I forgot his name, being John Voight's son from the very first one. I think that could have been talked about a little more. We could have, marinated with that. But um, I don't know. It was just I understand it was a lot of exposition is
Yep.
what it was. I think it was a little too much exposition. Um, but then, I also kind of understand why they had to have a lot of exposition because there's so much stuff going on in the second and third act. Like you need to have that context. But yeah, it's hard to explain. It was just like almost a little, the first act was like a little jarring. It was just so much happening so quickly, and you didn't really have time to like sit and think on the things that were happening. It was just boom, 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 all the way up until he jumps out of the water to go to the aircraft carrier. So yeah, the first act was definitely a little odd. I will say, spoiler, in the first act, RIP big homie Ving Rhames, RIP Luther, man. Um, very, very emotional. I'm not gonna lie. Like I definitely teared up. And then again at the end when you hear his speech again. But um, yeah. But like that's one of the things that like it happened and then it wasn't really like they didn't really like explore it too much or talk about it much more. It was like boom, well, Luther's dead. All right, next thing.
Yeah.
Um, just some weird choices like that. But yeah, Luther's whole like death scene was extremely emotional and great performance from Ving Rhames. Probably his best of the whole franchise. The Tom Cruise gives like a heart-wrenching performance there as well because he's having to leave like one of his best friends. So I mean, there's still some good stuff, but definitely just a lot. Do you kind of agree?
Yeah, dude, there was a lot being thrown at you very early, and Mission Impossible, like the stories are very complex. Like that, these are stories that we're able to follow. Not to say you couldn't follow it. It's just like, why is it happening so fast? Because Mission Impossible, I feel like in the recent ones, there's a lot of stuff that they like set up very slowly, and that's what makes like the final act so good. Not to say that this final act's not good, but you're definitely like, dude, this is a lot of stuff that they're throwing at us, and like you said, the rabbit's foot being stolen, being a part of the greater like the entity and the like does some of this stuff need to be explored? Probably, but you did it in such a way that you feel like it's not important when it probably is important. You could either go that route, yeah, like John Boyd's son being just like there, and you're like, okay, that's who he is the whole time. Like, okay, that's cool, I guess, but he doesn't play like the biggest part in the movie anyways. He's just kind of there. And he shows up in moments where it's like inconvenient, but for the most part, like you're like, why is he, why does this need to happen? Like, why is this so important? And it's never really explored. And I think that Luther's death scene kind of goes on, I don't know the right word, but like it's not as big as some other death scenes we've seen, like of people dying to Tom Cruise. Like you feel like when what's her name dies in the last one, uh, Rebecca Ferguson's
Joseph.
character dies in the last one. Like we spend like 10 minutes like Tom Cruise like trying not to kill himself, but in this one he like runs away and gives himself up. But it's happened so quickly. Now the little interaction you get with Luther and Ethan is very, very good. Like when he says, "I'm right where I want to be," I was like, "Okay, that sucks." Now he's gonna die. I would have killed myself. But like even Ethan like doesn't get that full like moment to process what just happened until like the very, very end, which I guess is when we get it. But even still, we just hear him like listening to the message. Yeah, the first act is kind of weak, man. I'm not gonna lie, and it's because it feels like just so many things are being thrown at you, and you're like, dang, dude, this is a lot. I don't remember the other Mission Impossibles being like this. So, yeah, no, the first act is definitely a gripe, but it really does get overshadowed by how good the second and third acts are.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. Weird first act aside, like we said, the second and third acts are just all like the best hour and a half of an action movie I feel like I've ever seen. Recency bias, but just unreal, dude. The whole underwater sequence, um, going into the submarine to get the source code, um, and then at the same time you got what's going on with like um with Benji and Haley Atwell's character. What's her name? Grace.
Grace.
They're trying to send the coordinates out or and all this stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff going on at once, but then when you really get to this scene, like it is so tense, it is so quiet. It's still, even though it's like dark and it's underwater, it's still like lit so well, even if it's really just his face. It just looks good. It's like it's not dark to where you feel like you can't see anything, and it is so tense. The score is like daunting and really, really creepy. Um, like and then you see some of the dead bodies that are very like kind of jump scare. Um, and it's just so tense. There's no dialogue. He's not talking at all. It's just like letting like the moment and the action speak for itself. And he gets the source code and he's having a hard time getting out. The submarine just falls off a cliff and everything. The camera work was just like I couldn't comprehend it. I was like, how does this look like this?
Yeah.
It was unreal stuff. And then he like eventually just rips out of the suit because he can't fit through the hole and everything, and starts swimming up to the top, and then the whole what's called the what's it called when you're like rising too fast and the pressure.
They call it something syndrome. It's like
The
depressure,
bends, the bends.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They call it the bends. So he's going up too fast up against the glacier, and they're in like the Arctic Ocean. It's freezing. Um, and he's just like literally just in his underwear swimming up. He's got the source code around his shoulder, and his body starts giving up, and like you think he's dead. Obviously, he's not dead, but like it seems like he's dead, and then he floats up, and the whole camera like twists, and he's like rising up to the glacier. And then obviously Haley Atwell like is there to pull him out, and um, just an unreal sequence. And I talked to you about it. You said that this was your favorite sequence in the movie, right?
Dude, can I just go off for a second? This is the best. Like, I get Tom Cruise has done some incredible stuff in Mission Impossible. We can go down the list. This sequence, from camera to how tense it was to knowing like how big of a part this is, like he is counting on himself. Like that is it. He's got to get in and out of this submarine. He against all odds, like everybody in the world is counting on him to get this source code. And it's so tense. You get jump scared. You are like, there's no way he makes it out of this. It's claustrophobic. It's everything that you want in a Mission Impossible sequence. This is my favorite, I'm not kidding, favorite Mission Impossible sequence of all time. Of all time. Like in any movie. And the when he's rising out of like the submarine, he takes everything off. He takes his mask off. He's swimming up. He like is his body's like attacking him basically from the nitrogen that's like getting in his muscles, and the camera just like up against the ice is so good. It is so beautiful. It is so good, dude. Like it is one of my favorite sequences of all time. If it probably is because of like it feels so long because like this is it. Like he's got to do this. Like everyone in the world is counting on Ethan to get this to save the world or it's game over. Like that's it. Dude, I
Yeah.
was sitting in the theater like trying not to just like scream. just like, oh my God, what is going on? Like, it is so well done. It is so well shot. The score, yes, is daunting, but it's so minimal at the same time. It's just like almost like kind of sounds like a foghorn in the background, just like eerie. Oh my God, dude, it is so good. It is like it's so
Yeah.
freaking good.
Yeah, dude, I still like I do not like I cannot still comprehend the camera work there. Like when it's falling and spinning and the water's like somehow above him and he's like flipping in and out between the water and the air. Like I'm
Yeah,
like, dude, what is happening?
yeah,
I like I don't understand. I understand like it's spinning so the water's moving, but the way it was shot, dude, and then yeah, that shot of him like rising up towards the glacier and the camera spins is one of the best shots in any movie I might have ever seen.
yeah,
Like just just unbelievable. It's like, it almost reminds me of the leap of faith from Spider-Verse. Like, he's rising up or it kind of shows him falling, but then when it spins, like he's rising.
yeah,
Um, just dude, unreal, breathtaking stuff. And then like when you think he's dead, and then you see Haley Atwell and she grabs him and gets him into the hyperbaric chamber and kind of helping, gets him back to life. Very, very sweet moment between them. Um, but yeah, dude, that scene is just unreal. It's probably the best, like, I don't know, probably the best like underwater scene in any movie ever. I mean, the only thing I could compare it to maybe is like Way of Water, some of that stuff, but like even so there, like it's all CGI.
yeah,
So just crazy, crazy stuff. It looks so good the way it was directed. Like shout out Christopher McQuarrie because he cooked there.
yeah,
Um, and then, that happens and we haven't even talked about our the final stunt, but we'll get to it. So yeah, so many things had to fall into place and for this to happen. And something we haven't brought up was the guy from the first one that makes an appearance in this one, William
yeah,
Doblow.
yeah,
It's the guy from the original CIA vault scene in the original, and he plays like a big important role in this. Like
yeah,
once he's introduced, he's in the rest of the
yeah,
movie. You kind of found out what he's been up to, and he's able to like help them, and he's the reason that they're able to get the coordinates to go pick up Tom Cruise
yeah.
from the submarine. And
That
um,
reveal was crazy, by the way, because they're like, yeah, oh, by the way, I destroyed all those. Like, there's no reading them. I went through all of them. And, like, you're like, well, what are they supposed to do? Like, it's over. And then he goes, oh, but I remember the coordinates, by the way. And I was like, why do you remember them? Oh, my God.
yeah. So I thought he was fantastic. Also we haven't even talked about Tramell Tillman, dude. He was
Dog.
so good. He
Dog.
basically he was basically just playing Mr. Milchick in a
Yeah.
submarine. Like,
He kept saying, and dude, like, that was the quote I used on my LetterBoxd review. Was like, "Good luck, Mister." He wouldn't even say his name. He just called him Mister the whole time. Also, we didn't even talk about Hannah Waddingham, who's in both movies we saw this weekend.
yeah,
So, like,
she is.
that's insane. Good for her. Like, dude, just Tramell Tillman. I want him in every single movie ever.
Yeah. And then we didn't even talk about like Nick Offerman and Angela Bassett and Holden
Yeah.
McElhenney. Like so many good people,
Yeah.
and it's just like we don't even have enough time to talk about all of them.
Yep.
But yeah, so we can now we can jump into the final action sequence, the crazy plane stuff. So as batshit insane as the underwater sequence was, the airplane sequence just absolutely took it to the next level. Um, I feel like I can confidently say that has to be the best stunt that I've ever seen in a movie. Like ever. I can't believe that they were allowed to do all of what they did. And that's actually Tom Cruise doing that. It'd be one thing if it was a stunt person, but it's Tom Cruise. Like, and you saw the behind the scenes. Like, he had one like little wire tied around like his belt loop. Obviously, he's not actually, hanging off of this plane with no security, but it's just like one little string. And he's climbing all over these planes like Spider-Man. He's jumping from plane to plane and hanging off by one hand. And he hangs like upside down at one moment. And he's just being wind blowing in his face. And he said like in interviews he couldn't even breathe and he would like almost black out. And it just kept going and going. Like I was kind of worried in the trailer that they had shown a lot, but they did not, dude.
Nope.
It is if you have only seen the trailer, not seen the movie yet, like it is so much more than what they show in the trailer. Like it barely scratches the surface. My jaw literally once he ran to the plane and like grabbed a hold of it or whatever, the bottom of the plane, my jaw was just on the floor the whole rest of the movie. Um, he's up there trying to get Gabriel so he can get the the bug that Luther made to basically trap the entity and save the entire world. And it's so tense because like he needs that and everything has to happen like quickly and then it keeps going back to like the US, the Pentagon when they're like trying to make the decision, does she need to press the button? There's just so much stuff going on, but the stunt itself was just it was like the greatest thing I've ever seen in an action movie, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm definitely gonna go watch it again because I want to see that again on the big screen. Um, I know you said the underwater sequence was your favorite. This was my favorite sequence. The underwater sequence is probably like you probably like it a lot better because it's different than just a normal crazy stunt. But like stunt wise, this airplane stunt was just absolutely unbelievable. I cannot believe that he was allowed to do these things. I cannot believe how well it was shot as well. And then like the scene of him falling out of the plane, he's actually falling out of the plane. Like I've seen some behind the scenes stuff of him jumping out with the camera like strapped to his chest. It's just ridiculous stuff, dude. I don't understand how they did it and how he literally didn't die or get seriously injured doing this. It this scene right here is why you go to the movies. This is why you go to action movies. Um, yeah, dude, I can't say enough about it. Both the underwater sequence and this were just unreal. But what did you think about the insane plane stunt?
You we've seen some crazy things that he's done, but this one, dude, like you said, there is one wire holding Tom Cruise to that plane, and the way that like the camera works there is like he's upside down, dog. Like he's trying to like maneuver himself to where he's like not gonna fall. And it's just the craziest thing. This dude is, like I said before, he's a psychopath. I don't know why he's like, yeah, think of the craziest thing that we can do on film. I want to do that. And they're just continuously like, yeah, sure, why not? And it's funny because he doesn't get seriously injured or like hurt. And like you see the one where he jumps from like building to building, that's the one he gets hurt on, not the one that he's flying however many feet in the air and going upside down on a plane. Nah, dude, you are absolutely right. This is why you go to the movies, stuff like this, knowing that you're gonna just see crazy stuff. And it's so tense too because you know, like this is if he doesn't get this, like the whole world is done. Like the entity wins, and just having him finally get to where he can like punch Gabriel, where he can get a leg up, and even Gabriel still thinks he wins, and he like lets go and he like tries to get out of the plane just to get like the shot of him just getting a freaking plane wing right to the forehead, just like right there. I was like, okay. And he finally gets in. You think like, okay, we can have a moment of solace. We can just like chill out for a second. And of course, the plane does not work. It starts like firing, misfiring, and the plane's going down, and you're like, this is get how does he get out of this one? And then he finally jumps out, and of course, like he gets the parachute, and we're like, okay, finally, like we're done. And then the
Nope.
parachute catches fire, and you're like, mother of God, how does he get out of this one? And the shot you see is like him trying to put it into like the kill switch, the virus, and then it switches over to Grace, who is like also him saying that Grace has to be the one that does it because what makes it what is the difference between a good thief and a great thief? And then she's just like, timing, and you're like, oh God, yes, that's so good. Um, and the the light switches up. She cuts the wire. It has to be within a millisecond or like 100 milliseconds of is the difference, and you don't know if she did it at first. You're like, was that quick enough? Like, oh my God, is it quick enough? And of course, finally, all the power shuts off, and we see it glowing, so we know the entity is on there. But we're still like, okay, is Ethan okay? And you just get the shot of the hillside, and you see that white parachute come up, kind of walking over the edge, and you're like, oh my God, he did it. Oh my God, he did it. Yeah, dude, and we can talk about the ending here in a second, but God, that whole sequence, man, it had to have given someone a heart attack. Like, I mean, somebody had to have been like fighting for their life in there as much as we were because we were like, how does he win? How does the IMF pull this off? How does Ethan pull this off? And
Yeah.
he does, dude. And I think that is just like a culmination of all the other Mission Impossibles. This was the most like unlikely impossible mission yet, and they do it. And it's just beautiful, dude. It's awesome.
Yep. I actually thought I really did like for a second when he's falling after you see his parachute catch on fire and he like falls through the clouds. I really thought like that might have been it. Like that might have been how they kill Ethan Hunt. That's how the franchise ends. I really did think it just the way they did it. But of course, it's Ethan Hunt. You know, he is the manifestation of destiny.
Yep.
He's an agent of chaos, all these
Yep.
things that they say. Um, he ends up being okay and then um and if you remember, like Luther said earlier in the movie, like whenever you plug the kill switch into the source code, like he's got a message for him. And then kind of like when you least expect it, the message from Luther starts playing as the movie kind of comes to a close. And it is super, super emotional. And he's saying, I love you, brother. Thank you for everything you've done for me. I'll see you again soon. All this stuff. Very, very emotional, I thought. And Ving Rhames just like has that voice to where it just like I don't know, it just got me. It got me. It's very emotional. Um, and yeah, so then after all the insane plane stuff, and she gets the entity in that little drive or whatever. Um, the movie kind of wraps up, and you see all of them on the streets of some I don't even remember what city it was, but they were just on the streets and amongst a crowd of people. And Tom like comes up and he looks, and he sees Haley Atwell, and then he looks over here and he sees Simon Pegg and Palm and a couple of the others. And yeah, dude, then it just, it ends. The movie ends. It ends on a good note. Um, with our unlikely crew of individuals.
Yeah.
I honestly kind of thought, based like for a second, that he was just going to run off with Grace, with Haley Atwell, because they definitely had a good chemistry in this movie. But they all just kind of go their separate ways. It's kind of like a, until next time, until we meet again, kind of thing. And she gives him the drive because, as it is said in the movie, like they don't want anybody to have this drive. Ethan is like the only person that they would trust to do it. So, um, yeah, dude, I think it ended fantastically. If this is the end of the franchise, I think they did a great job at kind of wrapping everything up. Um, and yeah, dude, I mean, I can't say enough good things about it. As off-putting as the first act was, um, I don't really care that much because we get the best like hour and a half of an action movie in ages. So, um, yeah, I mean, I guess we can kind of jump into ratings now, because we've harped on the movie for long enough. But um, let me pull my phone up just so I make sure. Okay, so strictly because of the first act and some of the decisions and stuff they made there, um, I gave this movie 4.5 stars. I wanted to give it five so bad, but if I'm being realistic, this was not a perfect movie. Um, the first act just really was really odd. Some odd choices and ways of editing and storytelling. And I think if condensed, you either got to condense it a little bit more or make it longer. Like you got to go one way or the other. I
Right.
feel like not enough was explained, so they could have had more time, but then also feel like some of it wasn't necessary. So I think the first act could have been done a little bit better.
Right.
So that's why this movie I'm giving it 4.5 stars, but it's right on the edge of a 5 star. Um, I gave it a 9.4, literally like, the highest 4.5 star rating I could give it, because of those last two acts. This is a movie that I can watch again and again, just like any of the others. And like I said, or like we've said, like rewatchability is a big factor as well. And maybe upon rewatch, we'll kind of enjoy the first act a little bit better now that we kind of know like what it leads up to. That kind of happens upon rewatches with some movies. Um, so yeah, we'll just have to see. But 4.5 stars, 9.4. It's my number four on the year. Um, but I mean, if you were going off the last 2 hours of the movie, it's number one on the year by a long shot. Um, that first act just kind of unfortunately brings it down a little bit. But what did you think? What did you give it?
Yeah, so agreed. Like the first act, there was a little bit just too much going on. And I think there were important plot points, but I think for the most part, I just was like, what is going on? Like, where are they trying to bring this? And it almost like I told somebody else, I don't know if I told you, but it didn't really at the beginning feel like a Mission Impossible movie. It felt like something else was going on. Not to say that again, like some of the plot points weren't important. I just felt like they were doing it the wrong way, and I kind of got nervous for the rest of the movie. However, my nervousness was quickly expelled, like quickly gone. Once he kind of gives himself up and is taken to the United States, I feel like it was really good after that. I also gave it 4.5 stars on Letterboxd, but I settled on a 9.1. I think the again upon rewatch, I think it might change just because there was so much being thrown at me in the first act. But a 9.1, I mean, it's my number four on the year. The other three ahead of it were all given 5 stars. So like you're at the point I'm at the point where like okay, it's my fourth movie. Oh, is it really your fourth? But at the same time, the other three movies that I have ahead of it are 5 stars. So again, it's really good. I just think the second and third act are so well done. Like there's nothing that the first act could have done to make me like if this first act was worse and the second act and third act were still given that, like I don't change my rating. Like the second and third act are so good and like peak action movie, like you said, peak Mission Impossible, peak everything that it's not going to go any lower than that. So 4.5 stars, 9.1. I loved the last probably 2 hours of that movie. Like you said, hour and a half. I thought it was so well done, so well shot. The story was intriguing. Every character you care for, and you're scared one of them's not going to make it. I mean, we had two close calls. We actually had like five close calls, if we're being honest, from the bomb scene in Underground to si- Simon Pegg's character getting shot, like literally everything. Like you're like they're not gonna make it, but of course everyone makes it. Spoiler alert, except for Gabriel and R.I.P. Luther. But you find that in the first, 20 minutes. But no, 9.1, 4.5 stars. Loved it, loved it, loved it.
Yeah, this is why we go to the movies, stuff like this. Um, like I just can't say enough good things about it. I can't say enough good things about Tom Cruise. Like I said, obviously, in his personal life, a little controversial, but when it boils down to it, he loves movies more than anyone in the world, and he wants to give you the best absolute product that he can deliver, and he does.
Yeah,
He does it time in and time out, like with Maverick and this and the last couple Mission Impossibles and Edge of Tomorrow, whatever it may be. He is the greatest movie star of all time, and I think he's going to still continue to do like crazy stuff, but he is like 63 or something now. So it might, I don't know if he's going to kind of slow down a little bit. Probably not. But I mean, at a certain point, he can't physically do all these things. But
right.
I'm just very grateful that we have lived in the same timeline as Tom Cruise, and we've gotten to experience what he does for movies. Like I mean, he essentially with Top Gun, like that was like really the movie to kind of get people back into the theaters.
Yeah,
And he has said like in interviews, like he had a big role in like getting theaters back open from COVID and helping studios agree to continue filming throughout COVID. He had a huge role in all this. So like he loves movies and I love him for that. And he's just a badass and I appreciate him for, you know, giving us these unforgettable movies.
Yeah.
That
Agreed.
is, I mean, those two scenes, the underwater scene and the plane scene, like I will never forget those scenes for the rest of my life. Just
Nope.
unreal, unreal movie making. Um, and yeah, everybody go check this out. Go see Lilo and Stitch too. Go see both. It's
Yeah,
a
for
great
sure.
weekend for movies. We got a lot of good stuff coming out. Um, I think next week, what do we got?
We have Karate Kid and oh
Bring Her Back.
yeah, yeah.
We'll go see Bring Her Back. I'm not going to watch Karate Kid. Sorry.
I will
Um,
be out of town this weekend, so maybe I can do it before I leave to find one.
you go out of town so much. But anyways, um, yeah, awesome, awesome weekend for movies. Go check out both. They've both made a ton of money. Um, God, I'm gonna miss Ethan Hunt and his little squad. Curious to see if they do bring him back, if this really is the final reckoning or not. Because the door is left open at the end of the movie, so you never know. Or what if maybe, like Haley Atwell or Palm Clemental like takes the reins as, the new agent. Who knows? Who knows? You could do some stuff with that. So um yeah, that's Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible. And then as we wrap up every episode, just wanted to kind of share with you guys some other stuff we'd been watching. I actually was able to watch a lot of stuff this week, just from traveling and getting to relax here a little bit before I start work. I know last week you talked Final Destination. I actually saw it like the day after we recorded. I enjoyed it. Definitely not perfect, and I agree that the first little bit looked horrible visually, but I still had a fun time with it. I gave that 3.5 stars. Um, I also watched two new movies that came out this year on Netflix. I watched Havoc, that new action movie with Tom Hardy, and then I watched the new Fear Street movie. Fear Street sucked really bad. Don't watch it. The first three are great. First three that came out a couple years ago, those are all great. This new one sucked. And the Havoc's a fun action movie to throw on. Um, Tom Hardy, very bloody, violent, fun time.
Hmm.
Nothing special, but yeah. So that's got my list next to me. And like I said, I watched the original Lilo and Stitch last night, and that was just so heartwarming. I loved it. Makes me want to go back and like watch some of the old Disney movies.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I watched the day before I saw the Final Reckoning. I watched Dead Reckoning for the first time. That is probably my favorite Mission Impossible movie. Now I think people who have like watched them multiple times, you have to think that these are like the first times I've watched like all the new ones. I still like really like if I had to give 5 stars out, my two would be which Cole I think knows for the most part would be Dead Reckoning would be 5 stars and Rogue Nation would be 5 stars in my opinion. But like Fallout's right there and then this one's like right there. So like all the new ones are like really good. I definitely got lucky with having Dead Reckoning and watching the Final Reckoning the next day. I definitely understand that. I'm a little bit spoiled, but it was very very cool to watch like this part of the story and then knowing like okay tomorrow I get the second part of the story. So it was like Severance with me, like watching the first season and not having to wait. So Cole is probably envious there, but no, it was very, very cool. And then that was like the big thing I watched this week. I had to make sure that I watched that before I went and saw Final Reckoning. But I also watched something on Netflix. It was a new like I think I talked to you it might have been about a month ago about a Turning Point documentary. It made another one that I thought was really, really well done. I'd watch all of them, and this one is about the Vietnam War. And man, it makes me hate stuff that went on a lot more. I already hated it, but also Vietnam War movies are like goated. From Apocalypse Now to Forrest Gump to Good Morning Vietnam, like the Vietnam War is definitely explored in Hollywood a little bit more than others. But like if for an average person, the Vietnam War is like, especially our generation, we don't know a lot about. But we know about World War One, World War Two, but nah, this documentary was sick. Um, Probably one of the better documentaries I watched in my lifetime. That and the Cold War one, dude, they just Turning Point on Netflix. If you haven't already, go watch those because they are. incredible, literally incredible. So watch that, Dead Reckoning, and then I think I watched something at the beginning of the week. I still want to finish the show I'm watching. Spoiler alert, it's Paradise. Trying to finish that as well. We've had so much traveling going on lately and all this new stuff, but yeah. Other than that, that's all I really watched this week.
Yeah, yeah. So big week. We finally got Mission Stitch out of the way. It was an honor going on this mission with you.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, just great weekend for movies. We love movies. We love it when they do well. And Final Destination's still like killing it as well. So it's good to see people are getting back in the movies for all different kinds of movies.
yep,
Once again, I want to thank Tom Cruise for being a psychopath. Uh, and yeah, so yeah, next week, probably bring her back. Maybe Friendship. I think that went wide as well.
yeah.
New Tim Robinson movie. And then I believe the week after that is Ballerina and
Ballerina,
like How to Train Your Dragon and then
yeah.
F1 soon. Like got a lot of big stuff coming out.
Yeah, we
So
have Ballerina and the Phoenician Scheme on June 6th, and then How to Train Your Dragon the 13th. The 20th is something. F1 is 27th. What is the 20th? Oh my God, why can I not remember?
I'm about to tell you.
June
28
20th.
years later
20, yes, I knew it was something big.
in
So
Elio.
June and July, boys, we're about to get after it. About to get after it.
Oh, dude, don't forget the same day F1 comes out, Megan 2.
I will not be seeing that. So, but yeah, and then we move right into July with Jurassic World, Fantastic Four, Superman. I mean, dude, we're about to get spoiled.
We're eating good, but yeah, so we'll go ahead and wrap that up. Thank everyone for watching. Thank y'all. We appreciate the love y'all been showing on the shorts and the TikToks. Continue to follow us and comment what you want us to talk about. Leave likes, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We'll try to be getting shorts up on a more consistent basis because that I feel like that's where we can reach a lot of you the most. So yeah, you have anything else you want to say?
Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on, or go be friends with us on LetterBoxd, and we will see you guys next time for whatever movie we decide to do. So,
Lord have mercy, I'm about to trust.
see y'all boys later.